Welcome to True Vine Talks with Rachel and Linda.
We're back.
We back. We took some time off. We were feeling a little tired this last month. So much work we do.
Yeah, it gets dark earlier. It's a busy time of year, so we're slowing down and, and we're proud of ourselves for that.
We are. And Rachel teaches me how to do that so well. She honors her inner child and her boundaries in the winter. And I have so much to learn from her. So I just really appreciate
Thanks.
that. So I asked Rachel, I was like, hey, have you read The Woman in Me by Britney Spears? Because this topic is so near and dear to my heart
Mm,
because I followed her in my 20s, my early teen years, in my 20s, and enjoyed her music immensely. Loved the dance hits, the pop, the fun outfits, the music videos were on point, and her choreography, she's
mm.
outstanding.
She's an icon. She is a pop icon for sure.
Just wonderful work ethic. I mean, just unreal to me how she can pull that many hours in a day
Mm,
practicing routines and, you know, yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So I have to be honest with everyone listening. I have not had a chance to read The Woman in Me yet. I do want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll get to it on when you get a break.
Yes, I will.
No. So the whole thing, back in the early 2000s where you had Princess Diana was being stalked by paparazzi.
Right.
I mean, everywhere she went, a camera was in her face.
Mhm.
Um, this also happened to Victoria Beckham and David Beckham.
Mm.
The early 2000s was the paparazzi vampires.
Oh, people would make thousands, possibly $1 million on a really good scandalous photo
Yeah.
of a celebrity. So yeah, it was wild.
Hmm. And everywhere they went, if they went to get coffee, there's the paparazzi.
Mhm.
And I just felt like this is insane. What are we doing to these people putting a camera in their face every time they go to pee?
So invasive, right? Can't even go from a building to a car without like having to hide and duck and run.
Yeah,
Security detail. Yeah, that would be horrible. I would hate that.
yeah. And, growing up she was on Disney there for a while, she said, and then she um, went back home for a while to Louisiana and
Mm.
still had the passion to perform and, you know, went back into the industry and just she loved playing basketball, which was
Oh, I didn't know that. That's so
yeah,
cute.
she said in her book she was enjoyed the basketball that she was really good at.
Oh,
So I thought that was interesting. Um,
yeah.
and her mom was supportive. It sounded like in the beginning they were supportive in getting her started, and she had auditioned and was there performing for this I think it was, I don't know what record company it was. I won't mention it because I don't know. Um,
Sure.
and then she did her first hit, Baby One More Time.
Mm. At 16, is that right?
He was
16 years old.
mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
young.
I know. Do you remember being 16?
Yeah, I do. I was just excited to like be able to drive and go to the mall with my friends. I can't imagine everybody in the country knowing my name.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. That was kind of like the beginning of her rise to fame there. It's like Baby One More Time. That's the right, I'm using the right lyric.
Yes. Yeah. Hmm.
And she loved the dance, she loved the routines, and um she had such zeal to perform, and she was so
Mm,
good at it. And the people around her, her dad wasn't really there. He was not present during the beginning stages. And he was an alcoholic when she grew up. So he wasn't really emotionally present, as she describes in the book. Um, Her mom was more so present. And, she got into a relationship with Justin Timberlake. And did you see all those
mm.
pictures of them all the
Oh
time?
yeah, I love the when they're both like in all denim. Like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a classic. Yeah.
That was one of their iconic moments.
Mm,
Um, and I think this is the part where it gets a little sketchy.
mm,
They were deeply in love. They're super young, and
yeah. Living together, as far as I know, right? Yeah.
yes, living together. Um, she's spending a lot of time with his family. They're having, on tour. There's just so much happening. They'd spend time there together in their condo, and she says he cheated throughout the relationship in the
Mm,
book. And that was shocking because we were all like,
yeah.
no one knew that.
They kept that hush hush, huh?
Mhm. Yeah. And then they got pregnant
Mm, I heard that.
together, and she did want to have the baby. And then, of course, Justin, discouraged her from having the baby. So, then there was the abortion, and that left her feeling just so empty. So she described it as the most dark, empty place for her. And I mean, I'm sitting there listening to this. I'm like, girl, you didn't tell anybody what you'd been through. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I just felt so much compassion for her situation.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's horrible for anyone to have to go through that, let
Yeah.
alone go through it completely on your own with no
Yeah.
one, feeling like no one's supporting you or empathizing with you. That would be, I don't know how she did it.
Yeah. They agreed to not tell anyone, not even
Yeah.
her family. And
You need support in that.
yeah,
Yeah.
she said he thought they were too young. They were very young. And you know, you need older, wiser other counselors surrounding you.
Hmm.
And she didn't have it like that kind of support system.
Yeah. No one really like rooting for her unless she was succeeding, like, you know, in the media. Like,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the part that I was like, whoa, had people known she was hurting this deeply, um, you know, wow.
Yeah.
And that's the part where she started feeling really bad and in a dark place. And then she went on, the MTV Music Awards, and it Give Me More. It wasn't her best performance, but she had, been through these things, and Justin's
Oh,
there, and, he's, getting all these awards, and everyone's playing him up. And, she's, she's still struggling there. She was still struggling, as she described.
of
And,
course. How could she not be? That would be so hard.
yeah. And of course, his breakup anthem was that she cheated, of course,
Mm,
that one song. Yeah.
yeah.
So that leaves sort of a negative emotion there around, you know, wow, you basically gaslit her to the public, and she was in a very mentally uh depleted place. And
Mhm.
You basically made her the bad guy to the whole public.
Mhm.
And she said she didn't have the confidence or the support. Like, she referenced Jennifer Lopez being a very confident woman and does fame really well. And she also referenced Reese Witherspoon as being a very confident, strong woman.
Okay.
And she said she didn't have that then. And she didn't have that sort of backbone to be like, what the hell is happening here? What is
Mhm.
going on? And that part made me sad too, Rachel.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, because she didn't even always have the media in her favor. They would like talk about how her like her wardrobe was inappropriate and her dance moves were inappropriate, and just really shaming her for performing, you know.
Hmm.
She was definitely, I feel, stuck in that like contrast of you've got to be this sexy idealized, young virgin, but you need to be modest and humble and, you know, private. It's like you can't be both people, you know.
So, and that's the other part. What were interviewers asking her about her body so much?
Isn't that so uncomfortable?
Yeah.
I feel so uncomfortable reading. Yeah. I've read a
Mhm.
lot of articles, but not the book yet. So, yeah.
And she said she never told anyone to project the narrative that she's a virgin.
Right.
Why were they creating this narrative around her? She didn't understand why were they so invested in her body and her virginity.
Reasonable to be questioning and confused about, right? Why, yeah, why is it anyone's business? And oh,
Hmm.
that had to be so uncomfortable for her every time as a woman she would sit down and be asked those questions when like the next male interviewee wouldn't be, you know, like
Mm.
what?
Rachel, when I go back and watch those clips on YouTube of them asking her about if these are real and these things,
Mm,
I'm like, if I had been her mother in the background, I would have like lunged
good
at the,
point. Excellent point. Yeah.
where is your important people? Where are the where are the people that care about you? They weren't there.
Yeah.
The people that care about her weren't there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They were,
They were not protecting her.
nope. And this, yeah, she's like, this young girl having to defend her own body. Mm, yeah. And so that those are the parts I like to just sort of process as far as like how we, when we reflect upon, her journey, her, that she's this is describing in the book. It's important to understand who's in your corner. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And how come you couldn't tell your mom you were pregnant? What's that about?
Yeah.
You know? How come you couldn't have an open dialogue with someone about whether you were ready for that or not? You know?
Right.
And it seems like, anyone that will, show some kindness towards her through this journey, she was welcoming in for good reasons.
Oh, of course. She needed that so badly. We all do.
We all need someone to be there for us. Yeah. And so that brought Rachel and I to some, questions about, you know, conservatorships, mental health, and, you know, what are toxic people?
Yeah.
What, we did a podcast on toxic people, but after reading her book, I'm like, whoa. So obviously in the industry, this is the message she sent throughout the book, Rachel.
Okay.
In the industry, you are an object to make money
Wow.
for her family, to send them money and buy them things, and
Hmm.
for the record companies and stuff. So most people would say toxic people aren't in my family.
Yeah.
Well, her life is an example of that's not true.
Yeah.
Blood is not thicker than water in this situation.
No.
Yeah.
No. I'm sure there's lots of people out there that can relate to that.
Yeah.
Toxic family members. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Like
So
dehumanized her.
yeah.
You know?
Hmm. Yeah. So our listeners, I just like them to know that, hey, you may have family that they really don't have your best interest at heart.
Right.
And Snoop Dogg said it well. You got to know
I
who
loved
to.
that video you shared of him. That was so good. Sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
Oh, you didn't interrupt. What was it? The language he used? Do you remember exactly?
Oh, I don't remember exactly, but I mean, he just said it so well. Yeah.
Oh,
It was about like different paths.
yes.
He's like, it's not personal. There's no disrespect in saying, and I'm going to ad lib for Linda, we can't hang out no more. Like you're on a different path than me. Our paths are not aligning. And so, we're just not going to be able to spend time together anymore. And I wish you well. It was along the lines of that, right?
Yeah. Yes. And I like it because he's like, I
Mm.
think he's interviewing with Ryan Seacrest. I'm not
Yeah, he
sure.
said Ryan. Yeah, that's why I said I'm ad libbing because I didn't remember the name. You're right. It was
I love
Ryan.
you, Ryan, but you're
Yes.
not going the same path I'm going. So you can say to family,
Mhm.
I love you, but we're not going down the same path.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
wow, if she had had a great counselor like you, Rachel,
Or
back in,
you, Linda.
thanks,
Thanks.
Rachel, we would have been like, this is how I would have counseled her. I would have been like,
Yeah.
Brittany, do you feel like people around you really care about you doing well? Can you name a person that's really there for you if
Mm.
you were about to go on to the next life? Who would be there for you? If she couldn't come up with anyone, I'd be like, time to cut everyone off financially, all the things.
Mhm.
Now, as a counselor, we don't give direct advice. However, our client, we're their advocates.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the way you worded that. Who is really there for you,
Mhm,
right? Like making her think about it, you know? Who's cheering you on even when you're not winning an award, even when you're not at your best? Like who's still in your corner and wants the best for you when you're at your absolute worst?
mhm. If you don't have that person, find that person.
Mhm.
That needs to be your first step in
Yeah.
mental health and
Mhm.
becoming a whole person. You find, because there's 8 billion people in the world, you find the one person on earth that will be there for you.
Yeah. For a lot of people, that person starts out as a counselor,
That's true.
and that is that person for you until you're able to find others in your personal life.
Hmm. That's right, Rachel.
You don't have to go without. Yeah.
Yeah, not at all. So Yeah, this book leaves me feeling angry,
Mm.
disappointed, and it sort of validates my thought. It's Rachel, I don't know, you tell me. It kind of, I had you read 48 Laws of Power a long time ago.
Yes. Didn't like
Robert
it.
Greene. He's very dark and pessimistic about humans.
Yeah, quite cynical.
And
That's
unless you,
true.
okay, thank you. Thank you.
I hate admitting that. Yeah, it is true.
Yeah. And unless you have a higher power that's directing you to do goodwill towards yourself and others, I do not know that you won't act this way. The 48
Mm,
Laws of Power.
yeah,
They did all the psychological tactics to her.
they sure did. Yeah. Manipulation, gaslighting, lying. Yeah.
Mhm. Her dad told her she was fat.
That's
Put her on a strict
terrible.
diet.
I knew he controlled like down to what she would eat, but I didn't know that he
Yeah,
said
during,
that to her. That's terrible. Why would
yeah.
you ever say that to anyone, let alone your own child?
hmm Yeah.
Breaks my heart.
So you make someone feel inadequate and not capable and break them down to the core. Yeah. So that brings us to get rid of toxic people first.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we answered this question. How do you know who has your best interest at heart, Rachel?
I think I was leaning towards that for like who's cheering you on even when you're at your worst. Like who cares about you even when you're not succeeding, you're not like achieving something spectacular. Who's always there for you no matter what? That person likely has your best interest at heart.
Yeah. hmm
Yeah.
Well
What
said.
else?
I think you said
Mm.
it very well. Yeah, they would tell you, hey, Rachel, I noticed that you've you've not been here a lot, or you've been, kind of isolating or something, and I haven't seen you much. Can you tell me what's happened? Calling you out in a way that's gentle.
Yes, yes. A loving way. Hmm.
Hey, I miss seeing you. Where you been?
Hmm.
Hey, are you doing okay?
Yes, yeah. It's not tough love, but it's challenging you in a loving way, pushing you outside of your comfort zone, right? To do what's best for you. Yeah. With a caveat, they don't
What?
get upset if you don't take their advice.
Ah, yeah, because if their advice is something for their own gain,
They're
that's
going to be, you never listen to me. I know what's best for you, blah, blah, blah. Someone
yeah.
that has your best interest at heart is going to maybe make a suggestion or give you some advice, right, in that warm, nurturing way. They also know that you are on your own path and you are responsible for your own decisions. Right?
Hmm. They share their concern and they they honor your free will.
Yes, beautiful way of sharing that. Absolutely. They honor your free will.
Well, hers didn't get honored. They pretty
Not
much
at all. Not once. They took it away from her,
let's
right? A
talk about
toxic person will take away your free will. There we go. Yeah.
boom, you said it perfect. A toxic person will take away your freedom to choose to do what you want to do or eat.
Yeah. who to see, who to spend time with, what to wear, what your hair color is, anything. Yeah.
Your work hours.
Yeah.
Toxic conservatorship. That's what we're going to call it.
Mm,
So, you know, what is a conservatorship? And how does a person
yeah.
go about getting that on someone? That's what
Yeah.
we're
Well,
talking
I'm
about.
glad that we're talking about this because that was a whole new word for me when that came out during all the legal trials. And I was like, conservatorship. Yeah.
Mhm.
So my understanding is it's kind of like legal guardianship over someone over the age of 18. Is that right?
Right. Yeah. And the lawyers, they're getting paid well for this conservatorship in particular because she's so wealthy off her
Mm,
hard work she did all these years. Um, they were able to convince the court that she was incapacitated in some way. And Brittany shares, uh, I went out a couple nights with some friends,
mm.
you know, and
Oh, incapacitated as in like abusing substances. Is that what you mean?
mhm.
Wow. Okay.
So that they had to convince the court that in some way she wasn't capable of taking care of her own affairs.
Okay.
And yeah, that I wonder how that judge feels.
I mean, I hope terrible because that would mean they're a good person, right? I think it would be healthy to feel some remorse about that situation, have a change of heart.
Yeah. I just had a thought, Rachel. So her dad used the public realm and paparazzi to gain financial over her.
100%. Yeah.
And, the judge has to sit there and be like, is this with what he had, which was, or she, I don't know who it was, but they have all this imagery, but they don't know why she was behaving that way because no one asked.
Yeah, no one knew her personal life, that she's a young woman struggling with so much trauma on her own,
You're
no
gonna say shit.
support.
You're
Yeah,
gonna say shit. Say
I
shit, Rick.
mean, what else can we call it? Dang, Brittany, you really were going through it, girl.
She was. They were throwing shit at her from everywhere. Yeah, paparazzi wanted to see her. Oh, her underwear showing. Blah blah blah. It
Mm,
was just sick. Um, talk about you know vultures.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah. And then
So
being just dehumanized and objectified by your own family, your own dad.
yeah. Do you really have your daughter's best interest at heart?
Or do
Where
you
were
want to be
you?
rich?
Or do you want to be rich? A wise person told me, this is just a reference, money and stuff. He said, I don't want to be rich. I said, you don't want to have a lot of money? No, because the more money you have, the more people that come into your life. Bravo to
Word.
that person.
Uh-huh.
He said, be barely making it,
Mm,
less interest in you. So, because like, where's her dad when she's, young and in New York or,
yeah,
produce these music videos? Where's he on the scene?
yeah. Talk about vultures, right? That's when they come in. Specific kind of people come in. Yeah.
Yeah. Young women need a safe, secure protector person in their life.
Yeah.
to guard the vultures from coming in.
Yeah. She could have had that confidence of J-Lo or Reese Witherspoon if she'd had a role model there with her, kind of teaching her how to be that way, you know, like they're wrong about you, let them be wrong about you. Like, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, just I wish someone would have stepped in, and helped her during
Mhm.
those times. And the story gets better and better. I can't wait for you to read it.
Mm.
She gets strength from going to NA or yeah, NA and AA in the treatment facility that her father had her put in for drinking energy drinks like Celsius
Wow.
energy drinks, okay?
Yeah.
Energy drinks. So she gets
Mhm.
put in rehab, but then she starts getting strength from people and how street smart they were and how they navigated these things. So gotta have good people in your corner.
Yeah.
Hmm. What else? Oh, yes, here we go. Is this okay to put her quote in there from her book,
Go
Woman
for it. Yeah.
in
To honor her.
Yes. I did okay, so what happened was the Me Too, or not Me Too movement. That is a movement that happened during this
Mhm.
time frame too. The Free Britney, all of her
Oh,
fans
yes. Yeah, I remember that.
and a nurse at the rehab showed her that.
Oh, I'm gonna cry. That's so sweet.
Yeah. And that brought her strength back.
Mm.
Yeah.
She
So
didn't
here's
know she had fans that actually cared about her.
yeah, we're gonna cry, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad someone showed her that. She needed to see it. Yeah,
This is the time where they put her on lithium and she couldn't hardly
that's
move.
horrible. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. And she said God got her through that because she
Mm.
wasn't her soul had left, she said, when she was being, pumped with all that lithium.
Mhm.
Here's what she said when the nurse after the nurse showed her that someone cared about her. I did long to know that people cared whether I lived or died. What do we have except our connections one to another?
Aw.
She said subconsciously her fans felt her connection to them and they rescued her. They became her older, wiser, other secure attachment.
Mhm. Well, she
Thank you,
realized she
fans.
had people in her corner that she'd never met
Yeah.
before, you know. Here she
Hmm.
is in this rehab that she's basically a prison that her dad put her in as a punishment. And
For energy drink.
yeah, and she's got people on the outside like rooting for her and wanting the best for her. That was powerful.
Hmm. So glad I read the book. I'm so glad
Mhm.
she wrote it. We would never
Yes.
know.
Yeah. Which
So,
is like, let's reflect on that because I
hmm
think that's so important. Like none of us ever really know what anybody else has gone through in the past or is going through right now. Yeah. And so what Brittany was saying is beautiful. Like, what was it again? Like, what do we really have besides
yeah.
our connection to one another? Like,
Hmm.
please be kind, you know?
Yeah. And if, karma exists, I do hope it comes for those that kept her in a 13-year conservatorship
Hmm.
because 13 years. That's not what conservatorships are for. Um, you know, that duration, I think, is that the longest running conservatorship of all time?
I don't know, but I know they're normally for people who are like incapacitated, as in like in a coma, or like, is that
Yes.
right? Like you are physically and mentally not able to take care of yourself, and you then need someone to step in and look out for your best interest, right? In terms of it's usually like medical support and housing and things like that. But that was not Brittany's case. We don't think. I don't
No,
think. She
no,
she needed love and support. She needed guidance, maybe, but like, yeah, that's not the purpose of a conservatorship.
yeah. So I just want our listeners to know, if you're listening, seek out that person. If you don't have one person in your corner, you need that person. You gotta get that person in your life. And it's hard to put yourself out there like, hey, I'm looking for secure attachment. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Do we have time? I have another question I'd like to
Oh,
run by
love
you. It's
that, Miss
okay.
Rachel. Thank you.
So, in thinking about all this, right, it's like she's had so many people that were supposed to protect her that failed to do that, right? And so I think a lot of people might say, well, in order for her to get past all this and heal, she just has to forgive them. I have mixed feelings about that, and I was wondering if you do as well, or what your
I
thoughts
am
are on that.
I am with you 100. I have mixed feelings about forgiving
Me too.
because in internal family therapy systems model, you have protector parts that show up. And for so long, she didn't have a voice or a protector part show up for her. What do you feel about that? Like, what should
Yeah.
forgiving them right away?
Mm, I think some things are not forgivable.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel some behaviors are not forgivable, especially if the person that hurt you isn't sorry or remorseful. You don't ever have to forgive someone that isn't sorry for how they hurt you. And I don't think that makes you a bad person. And if you believe in a higher power, I don't think that makes you a bad believer or Christian or anything.
Agreed. Agreed. You just got to walk away.
Yeah.
That's powerful, Rachel. I'm so glad that you took time to ask that question because Taylor Swift says it too. I think I shared one of her memes on our Facebook pages that no, you don't have to forgive people.
Mm.
You can just know that they're toxic for you and keep them away from you.
Yeah. Sometimes forgiveness can be enabling.
Mm,
If you continue to forgive someone and they continue to hurt you and they never apologize, or maybe they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again," but they keep doing it, your forgiveness is enabling them to continue hurting you. You do not have to forgive that person, and you're allowed to walk away. And just like Snoop Dogg said, it might be mama, it might be daddy, it might be sibling, friend, best friend, whoever. If they're not adding to your life in a positive way, it's okay to walk away.
well stated. Great podcast. I felt like I ran on in the beginning. I hope our listeners
No,
got
I don't think
kind
so.
of formulate my ideas, and I feel like
I
yeah.
think the background information was a great place for us to start and build. So thank you.
And thank you, Brittany, for
Yeah.
Spears for writing your book, and I prayed for you the whole time. because I knew something was not okay. And now we know, you were grieving. And I think that's beautiful to share in that language that she does in her book.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Incredibly
thank
grateful for her being so brave and sharing her story, and I hope it inspires others to do the same.
Good. And thank you, fans,
Oh,
for being her secure attachment and
yeah,
showing up for her and freeing her.
yeah. They just might have saved her life.
It's the language she uses. Yeah. The woman in me.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, can't wait to read it.
So good. Thank you, Rachel. We hope
Of
our
course.
listeners enjoy this particular podcast today. I'm very passionate
Mm,
about her wellness, and I think it's great. Yeah.
yeah, good topic. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.